They had been staying in an old log cabin in the mountains now for a few days. The cabin overlooked a river and was surrounded otherwise by forest. The cabin was bathed in the sound of rapids in the river cascading down from higher up the mountain valley. The only other sound was the songs of birds in the forest. The driver had taken the coach and horses further into the mountains, hunting to bring back more food and supplies of wood for the fire. The knight regularly patrolled the surrounds each day. Otherwise, he assisted his lady as she had requested of him. One morning she smiled and asked the knight what he was thinking. He had a faraway kind of look. "Must I tell you, my lady?" he asked. "Please, if you would," she replied. "Well, it feels like I'm in a dream when I see the morning sun fall on your hair and on your fair skin of your shoulder as you do your hair in that chair each morning. Well, you know you can count on me to be very loyal to my responsibilities, yet it doesn't stop me from seeing that you are a beautiful woman." "You are kind," she said with a warm smile, and continued, "I'm pleased for you to be carried away in a dream about such things. You have many things to focus on, and I'm glad that you can be carried away from time to time." "Yes, I do," said the knight, hoping to find another topic of conversation away from this topic. His lady added another question. "Can I ask how you're finding helping me more?" she said. "Fine, my lady," he replied. "I apologise, though, sometimes when I do not notice you dressing, and haven't left you more privacy." She replied, "I'm glad you mentioned this. Please relax in these things. If I enter a room you're in wearing a bathing towel, please know that this is because I feel safe with you in this way. I know you only have good intentions in your care for me. So if I share more of my privacy with you, please receive this as part of the special trust and mutual respect we share." He replied, "Thank you, my lady. Please be patient as I get used to this. But I do understand and am grateful for your kind perspective. To me, trust is everything, and to have your trust, as I know I can be trusted, is very dear to me." As she rose from where she was sitting, she briefly grimaced. "What is wrong, my lady?" he said. She felt embarrassed about this, but explained, "In the long days of travel, I have now some stiffness in my neck and shoulder, but it is nothing. It will go away." His reply didn't allow her to brush off how she was feeling. He said, "Your face didn't look like it was nothing. Can I look at it for you and maybe loosen the tension somehow?" His lady replied with relief and gratitude in her voice, "If you could, that would be very helpful. What do you want me to do?" The knight kindly, but with a clear purpose in mind, asked her to sit back down. "I will massage your shoulder for you," he said. She replied with warm gratitude. He began to massage her shoulder through her white linen garment that she still had on from sleeping. "Would it be better that you could massage without the linen in the way?" she said. She didn't wait for an answer. She began to unbutton her garment. If they had ways of measuring blood pressure in those days, then it was fair to say the knight's blood pressure was rising, as his lady's cleavage increasingly appeared with the undoing of her buttons. She then moved her garment so her shoulders appeared from underneath the linen. As the knight continued massaging her shoulders, he admired her soft, fair skin and her shoulders' feminine curves. She loved to feel his strong hands on her shoulders, penetrating and loosening her stiff muscles. She enjoyed feeling her shoulders giving in to his strength. Yet she also enjoyed the tenderness of his touch and the care she could feel in his desire to free her from the strain that she had had for days. Her mind wandered to a funny thought. She thought with a smile, being big-breasted had its advantages in this instance. She could lower her garment so her shoulders were bare, but her breasts kept the garment from falling right down. She could not believe the difference that the knight was making. At times his hands were very firm, pressing into her shoulders and not yielding to her knotted muscles. It was painful initially, but she strangely enjoyed feeling this pain. If her knight felt this was needed, then she wanted to abandon herself to wherever this took her. For a while, the pain in her shoulders increased. Yet she found her heart taking her into this place. She strangely did not want to coax her feelings to avoid protesting. She wanted to be there, wherever he took her. In time, though, the pain and stiffness softened, and eventually she felt a liberating feeling as she could freely move her shoulders without the affliction of the last few days. She thought the massage was coming to an end when he asked her how her shoulders were feeling now. Yet after saying how much better she was feeling, he then asked her to stand next to the wall, which she did. As she stood against the wall, the morning light streamed through the window, causing her linen garment to shine brightly on her body. If the knight had been standing beside her, he would have seen the lovely outline of her body cast through her garment by the light's intruding rays. The outline of her breasts, the fine curve of her back, her midriff, and very shapely behind. If he had been standing there, he could have been forgiven to imagine a tender, feminine body of a beautiful, courageous, loving woman. A woman that deserved so much to be cared for in every way she desired. The sun's morning light showed her body was ripe for this care, for the love of someone she loved and looked forward to being with. Yet her knight was not standing beside her, but in front of her, and as he did, he couldn't help noticing her eyes, looking calmly and deeply into his. He explained to her what he was going to do, and she nodded in agreement. He placed one hand on the front of each of her shoulders. He asked her to push her head back against the wall, which she did. He then firmly pushed her shoulders back until all of her shoulders were pressed against the wall. She felt her shoulders straighten and the healthy, light crunching sound of a few bones moving back to a good place. She had a funny thought, had to stop herself from wanting to laugh. Here she was, pinned against the wall by the strong hands of a man, and yet at that moment she wanted to be nowhere else. She had been crouching in the carriage, and now he was undoing what this had done to her shoulders. As he straightened her shoulders against the wall, she was initially self-conscious of how this pushed forward her breasts. It was not only this, there was something else she hadn't expected. Strangely for her, being pushed back against the wall by a man she felt good being with sent tingles through her body. She felt a lovely feeling of passion rising within her. Her body felt so alive, and it was taking her to unexpected places. She felt anticipation rising within her, even though she knew this anticipation wasn't to be satisfied in this setting. Yet in this blissful moment she looked forward to when this would be satisfied. With this passionate fire being fanned within. She didn't realise that her nipples were pressing into her garment, the garment still being held up by her breasts. She felt embarrassed when she realised. What if the knight knew what she was feeling? She wondered whether to somehow inconspicuously put her hands on her breasts. Then she had a thought. Her knight had shared with her how much he enjoyed the morning light on her hair and her shoulder. He was open with her in a respectful way, and somehow she felt a warm feeling of peace as she decided she wanted to be open with him too. She wanted to be herself with him. It was a good feeling.